Welcome, one and all. My name is Baba the Storyteller. I am your ubiquitous bard, plagued by an implacable passion for parables, proverbs, and pleasing palaver. And alliteration, obviously. Now, if you are returning from one of the other stories in this series, welcome back. If you have never been with me before, I would encourage you to go watch the story, The Beggar's Bowl of Rice. In that story, in that video, I explained a lot about the instrument, the tradition, the craft that I practice out of the West Africa called Jaliyaa, and what griots are. So I want to respect your time, so I want to get to the story. But before I do, don't forget, please don't forget, hang around after the story for that segment. Something to think about, something to talk about. Some of you remember that was a segment inspired by a man who lived more than 3,500 years ago. That fabulist, Aesop. So we'll jump into it and I'll give you a proverb that will take us into the story. But let me finish the song. And when I finish the song, I'll usher you in toward the story. Thank you for your patience. Each video I want to kind of share a little maybe music with you before taking you to the story. But today's theme is a very important theme to me. Truth. We're going to be dealing with truth. And let me tell you why I thought about this. It kind of excites me. It takes me back to my younger years. I had a teacher at one time who used to tutor us after school, and every day it was on his own time, but he did it for free. And those of us who really, were challenged academically, we would go to tutoring and we would work hard. We would work really hard academically. But there was one time where I remember now keep this in mind, he always told us, it'll be free, I will never charge you. But there was one time where we went to the door and he had a note on his door that for this lesson, he was going to charge us. And I can't remember what the amount was, but I just remember, we're a student. We don't have any money. So I just remember feeling, along with the other students, incredulous. We were upset. So we went in and we talked to him. And we asked him, why are you charging us? We can't afford this. And, well, after we calmed down a little bit, he got us calmed down. He said, let me explain. He said, today's lesson is going to be about the truth. And he said, there's something you need to understand about the truth. You see, the truth is like a diamond, a precious stone. It is so valuable, but also very rare. It took me some years to catch up with my teacher and what he was telling us. But I'm excited to share things that I've learned with you about the truth. So that will be our theme as we go into the story. And remember, please remember, don't leave. Hang around for the segment, something to think about, something to talk about. Because I really, in all of this, my objective is to make sure that we gather together, all ages gather together, and have conversations like we used to have around themes and stories and ideas and symbols. So the proverb for this story, and we'll talk about when we come back for something to think about, something to talk about. Truth keeps the hands cleaner than soap. Enjoy the story. In a time, way before once upon a time, there lived a woodcutter who each morning, as he left his home to go out to do his work, he would kiss his wife and his children goodbye. He would take his old trusty axe in his hands and he would head out into the woods. And each day, this woodcutter would chop down one tree. He would take the wood from that tree and sell it in order to make money to care for his family. This was his life, day in, day out, every day, chopping down one tree. One day, the woodcutter decided he wanted to do something special for his family. But in order to do this, he had to find a tree that was much bigger than what he usually chopped down. So he searched and searched throughout the forest, looking for a bigger tree where if he chopped it down and if there was much more wood, he could make much more money. So the woodcutter, he kept looking and searching and looking throughout the forest until finally he came upon a tree. It was by a lake, and it was a huge tree, the size that the woodcutter had never attempted to chop down before. But he wanted to do something special for his family. So the woodcutter took his old trusty axe, and he chopped into that tree. But his axe got stuck. His axe was stuck in the tree, and he pulled, and no matter how hard he pulled, he could not get his axe out of the tree. He put his entire weight into it, all of his strength, and he kept pulling with as much force as he could when finally the axe came out of the tree, but it flew out of his hands through the air and landed in the lake. The woodcutter ran to the edge of the lake, and he saw his axe way out in the middle of the lake, beginning to sink into the water. The woodcutter began to cry and wail because, you see, he could not swim, so that he could not swim out into the water to retrieve his axe. He cried and he wailed, "My axe, oh, my axe! If I do not have my axe, I cannot chop down a tree each day to sell the wood to make money to care for my family, and that is my work." And he cried and cried. As the woodcutter was crying, he heard a voice. It sounded like it came on the wind, and it spoke. It said, "Why are you so sad?" He looked around because the voice frightened him a little bit, but he didn't see anyone. The voice came back again and again when all of a sudden the water in the lake began to swirl, and there was a huge hole formed in the middle of the lake. Up out of this hole came the water spirit, the spirit of the lake. The woodcutter stood there, his eyes wide. Knowing the legend of the water spirit, he knew that whenever she appeared, she brought good luck. He looked at the water spirit, and in her hands, she had an axe made of pure silver. She held it out in front of the water spirit, and she said, "Is this your axe?" The woodcutter looked, and he said, "Water spirit, if I had an axe made of silver, I could do so much for my family. That is so valuable. But no, it is not my axe." The water spirit then went back down into that hole in the water, and when she came back up, this time in her hands, she had an axe made of solid gold. She held it out in front of him, and she said, "Is this your axe?" He looked and he said, "Water spirit, that is an axe made of pure gold. If I had an axe made of pure gold, I would not only be able to help my family, I would be able to help my friends and so many others. But no, that is not my axe either." The water spirit then went back down and came up. Okay, you're not going to believe this one. In her hands, when she came up, she had an axe encrusted with diamonds. She held it out in front of him, and she said, "Is this your axe?" He looked at that axe and he said, "Water spirit, if I had an axe encrusted with diamonds, I would be one of the wealthiest people around. I could do so much for so many." But no, that is not my axe either. The water spirit went back into the hole, And when she came up this time, in her hands, she had an old, beat up, well used axe. She held it out in front of him and said, "Is this your axe?" He said, "Yes, water spirit." He danced in delight. "Yes, that is my axe. That is my trusty axe that I take every day into the woods to chop down one tree, to sell the wood in order to make money to take care of my family. Thank you, water spirit." He took the axe and he thanked and thanked and thanked her. When he turned and began to walk away, the water spirit yelled out, "Stop! Come back!" The woodcutter turned around, not knowing what the water spirit might want, and when he went back, she gave him the axe made of pure silver. He held the axe made of silver. He looked at it and he said, "Thank you, water spirit. Thank you so much. Now I can do so much for my family. I don't know how to thank you anymore. Thank you, water spirit." He turned around. He began to walk away when the water spirit yelled out, "Stop! Come back." He went back, and yes, you guessed it. She gave him the axe made of solid gold. He said, "Water spirit, thank you for this precious gift. Now I can not only help my family, I can help friends and so many other people. Thank you so much, water spirit." He turned to walk away. "Stop! Come back!" yelled out the water spirit. And this time, when he went back, what did she give him? Yes, the axe encrusted with diamonds. He said, "Thank you, water spirit. You have made me one of the wealthiest people around. I can do so much for so many. And I do not want to seem ungrateful, but may I ask, why have you given me the axe made of silver, the axe made of solid gold, and the axe encrusted with diamonds? Why?" The water spirit looked him in his eyes and said, "When I asked you if the axe of silver was yours, you told the truth. You said that it wasn't. When I asked you if the axe of solid gold was yours, you told the truth, and you said that it wasn't. And when I offered you the axe encrusted with diamonds, you told the truth and said that it wasn't yours. You are an honest person. And for that reason, I gave you these as a gift." But the water spirit said after that, "But there is something you must understand. You didn't need these things because honesty is its own reward." Doni doni, konone be yagata. Welcome back, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the story of the Woodcutter's Dilemma as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. This is that segment where we have something to think about, something to talk about, and I appreciate you hanging around for that. Now, before we jump into the segment, I want to tell you how important stories are. Not just to me, but it should be to all of us. When you hear a story, and if you've heard me say this before, just hear me say it again. When you hear a story, share a story. You have a responsibility, especially if the stories that you hear resonate with you. Means that you feel something from the stories. So we shouldn't just hear stories, consume them as a form of entertainment, and then walk around with them for ourselves. What good would that be? Stories are building blocks of what make us who we are as individuals, communities, and even societies. Our stories are our experiences, and we should share our experiences. This is how we can bring our communities closer together, create more understanding, how we can coexist when we understand one another's stories. That is a level of intimacy that human beings have been sharing since the beginning of time. So when you hear a story, share a story. And make sure you're sharing the story not just with your peers. Gather together for what I call an intergenerational conversation, from 3 to 83. Don't assume that people understand the story the way you do or that their perspectives are like yours. Even if someone is very young, they can still bring something to the table, something of value, because their experiences are their perspectives. And when it comes to our elders. Oh, please listen to the voice of our elders. So many societies have a respect, a reverence for the aged, for the elders in their community. And there is wisdom in having lived a long life. So listen to those perspectives, share the stories, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you walk away when you share. Now, I want to leave two things with you, something to think about, something to talk about. The first is the proverb. Oh, I love this proverb. Truth keeps the hands cleaner than soap. There is so much inside so few words. But think about that. That proverb, as related to the woodcutter, what meaning does it have to the story? What meaning does it have to you? And if we're saying truth keeps the hands cleaner than soap, well, what does that mean? Like I said, stories are about individuals, communities, and societies. What does that mean for you as an individual? What does it mean for your community? What does it mean for our society? Truth keeps the hands cleaner than soap. So gather around, discuss that. And the other thing I want you to gather around and discuss is an idea, or maybe you want to call it a concept in the story that you can walk away with, concerning the woodcutter. Now, the woodcutter received an axe of silver, an axe of gold, and an axe encrusted with diamonds. But here's what I want you to talk about, think about. Before the woodcutter received these material possessions, these very precious material possessions from the water spirit, he was already wealthy. I can see some of you smiling because you get it right away. And there are some people scratching their heads. This is why we gather together to share. Because we learn from one another when we come together. And gathering these different perspectives together, the more we gather together, the more we learn, right? So what does that mean, that the woodcutter was already wealthy before he got the silver, gold, or diamond axes? Gather together, think about it, and talk about it. And before you go, there's one more thing I want to share with you. The culture. You've been listening to me play the kora, you've been listening to the language, but I feel like I would be a little remiss if I just left you without your own experience. So at this point, I would love to teach you a little bit of one of the songs that I've been singing. Can you give me a few more minutes for that? I would so appreciate it. Now, the language, academics call the language Bamanakan, but most people will say Bambara, okay? I want to teach you a little Bambara. Now, all you have to do, and okay, don't relax, don't get afraid. You can do this. When we engage other cultures, we open ourselves up to the world. You can do this. I'm going to speak the Bambara words, and all you have to do is repeat after me. That's all you have to do. And let's try this. I'm going to do what we call anglicizing the words, make it sound a little more like English. But when we get to the point of singing, we'll take it back to the indigenous Bambara. So repeat after me. Ye Jaliyaa alaleka Jaliyaa da. Okay, some of you have it. Some of you are struggling with it, but I'm going to repeat it again. Listen again. Listen again. Ye Jaliyaa alale ka Jaliyaa da. Okay, not bad, not bad. So now listen. This is what it sounds like when it's sung. And I'm going to cut it in half. I'm not going to give you the whole thing yet, because I think if you hear it in pieces, well, it's easier to consume, right? After me, I'm going to sing, and then you sing after me. So it sounds like this. And I'm not going to anglicize it anymore. I'm going to sing it in its natural tone. So listen to the tone of it, and then give me back the tone that you hear. Here we go. Yeah, Jaliyaa alale ka Jaliyaa da. Okay, one more time. I think we can get this. Yeah, Jaliyaa Alaleka Jaliyaa. Some of you are really good at repeating. Okay, now here comes the big test. I'm going to put all the words together. And when I put all the words together, I will sing first, and then you try to sing all of the words after me. We might have to practice this a couple of times, but I'll tell you what, if you get it, I'll bring the kora in, and then we'll play it, and we'll sing ourselves out of this segment. How does that sound to you? Okay. The whole thing. Here it comes. Breathe and relax. You can do this. So here we go. Yeah, Jaliyaa, alaleka Jaliyaa da. One more time. Yeah, Jaliyaa, alaleka Jaliyaa da. I'm impressed. All right. Why don't we try it with music? Let's bring the kora in. It's sitting right over here. And I will play it for you, and I'll sing this song, and then you'll sing after me. Okay, I have faith in you. We can do this. So let's take it out this way. Here we go. Get ready. Here we go. Yeah, Jaliyaa, alaleka Jaliyaa da. We'll do it two more times, and I think you'll have the hang of it. And then you can go back and watch the story of the beggar's bowl of rice in the first video where I play the song. And then you can sing along with it or respond when I sing. Two more times. Yeah, Jaliyaa, alaleka Jaliyaa da. You're doing good. You're doing good. Last time. Yeah, Jaliyaa, alaleka Jaliyaa da. I hope you enjoyed this time together as much as I've enjoyed sharing it with you. Once again, don't forget, hear a story, share a story, and also, never forget, doni doni, kononi be yagada.